Hi guys, welcome again. I'm just going to do another basic painting tutorial video today. It's not going to be massive, it's mainly just going to be talking to you guys about applying different shades over the same colour. Now these three figures here have been originally base coated black and then airbrushed from Rhinox hide up to scrag brown, and if you remember last week's video, unless you're watching this on my website rootstem.co.uk, then it'll not be last week's video, but because you get more exclusive content on there. But these guys were the ones that I did for the dry brush. Now, all three of these have been shaded with different shades. These Games Workshops are more like a watery paint. They're not an ink, because an ink I would consider to be completely different. An ink is it can be quite heavy, can be quite dry, can be quite heavy, and can be quite pigment orientated. So it actually overruns a lot of the colour that you're putting it over. A lot of original inks from Workshop used to be used like a recess, not like a recess shading. You used to paint it, as an example, flesh. You used to paint flesh, and then you put flesh wash over it, and then you paint your flesh again, leaving the recesses. And it used to sort of really darken. And I'll show you some of the old, because I've still got some of the old school Games Workshop inks. I'm going to show you the difference. Now, the figures in front, like I say, were all painted the same. And what I'm going to do is just bring them up to the camera so you can see them. And this one here, of course, was shaded up using Seraphim Sepia. Now, with the Sepia, when you compare... Ooh, don't want to drop them. When you compare the two, that one's using Agrax Earthshade and that one's using Seraphim Sepia. Now, Agrax Earthshade is a hell of a lot of a darker shade between the two. I might actually just put a little bit on here so you can see the difference. But it's a lot of a darker shade. Now, you can tell that by the recesses. So, all the way across that leg there is a lot darker than that one. That one is a lot more subtle. Seraphim Sepia for me is quite a light shade, very good for yellows. If you've not got hold of the orange one, it's a very good colour for sort of like the browny yellow sort of transitioning up. It's also good for some reds as well sometimes, and so is Agrax Earthshade, but it depends on what type of red you're wanting. This one's a bit more of a what you would call warm colour. This one to me is a bit more of a dirty colour, and it's darker, so it's going to be definitely a darker shade. Now, I've actually used Reikland Fleshshade. Now, this one's a bit more, if you look at the pot, compared to these two can be a bit browny. That one is a bit more red. Now, Reikland Fleshshade is brilliant for flesh, but it's also good on browns, I always find anyway. So you've got your Agrax Earthshade, and then again, if you just have a look at that, that makes the edges pop more. Now, the edges, again, it's exactly the same colour. They're both scrap brown. That one looks slightly different. It looks a lot more warm, and that's what Reikland Fleshshade for me does to a lot of actual colours. It makes them look a hell of a lot more warm than what these two do. So again, especially this is really good if you're batch painting, because I've got three of the exact same colours and I've put three different shades on, and you get three slightly different variants. They're not massive, it's not a huge variant. It's not something that's going to be completely drastic, but it is enough to have them all different. And of course, if you're painting, I think it's about, in the commission I'm doing, is about 30 horses. So if you're doing 30 horses and you want them to all look slightly different and all look the same, because you can't have horses always looking generic, they're always different skin tones, same as people, then I'll use this type of technique to be able to change a lot of the actual colours. Now, a lot of people won't really use shades on dark colours. I will. Please ignore that. That's going to get sorted out later. I do. I've mainly used Agrax Earthshade and Reikland Fleshshade on some of the dark colours. These are just Rhinox hide. I keep want to call it bestial brown, but it's not. These are still Rhinox hide. It's just pure Rhinox hide over black, airbrushed, and then of course I dry brushed some more Rhinox hide on top just to pick out the edges. Again, on my dry brushing video previously. That one there is Agrax Earthshade, and that one there is Reikland Fleshshade. And again, you can see how that one's got more of a warmer tone, a slightly lighter than this one. And again, it's just exactly the same colours, but we're getting two different variants. We're getting one that's slightly warmer, one that's slightly darker. These can be, a lot of black horses, they don't tend to be pure black, they tend to be very, very dark brown, which is what I'm using this for. I am going to create some black horses, but they're going to be a completely different set for when I actually paint them for my commission. Now, I wanted to show you some differences between inks and shades. Shades, to me, is more like what you used to call, is more like a wash. Or it can even be, I suppose the gloss one's going to be a bit more of a glaze, depending, of course, upon what you're doing. But you tend to make your own glazes. All these are considered black. Now, Nuln Oil is not black. It's very, very, very light. If I show you a white sort of horse that's been covered in Nuln Oil, that doesn't make the horse look black. It just makes it look like a grey, which is the colour that I wanted. And if I just get my brushes... Now, I tend to use Citadel shade brushes. I use a lot of Citadel stuff because it tends to be designed for what you need it for. You can get alternatives, but it's a bit more awkward. And, of course, I can get these from my local hobby store. So that's Nuln Oil. Now, if I paint that on there... a bit less. Nuln Oil does not completely obliterate the white. It's still there, and the white is still present, but it's made it look darker, and it's made it look more like a shade. It's also really good to paint over the top of. Next, we've got the Vaults Gaming black. Now, this is quite a dark. If you look at that there, it's a lot darker, and even as you can see with me taking it off, it's a lot more thick. Now, that will obliterate a lot of colours. I find, as an airbrusher, that is fantastic for putting through an airbrush when you're painting large-scale terrain pieces and you want some bits to look darker or weathered or worn. It's also really good for putting over the ends of guns. So if you've got a barrel that's supposed to look like it's you know, a little bit chalked up, maybe a melter gun, that is perfect. Just put a couple of drops of that in your airbrush it on, and it actually turns it really, really dark. So that's a really good way of getting a black without using black, especially if you're wanting a slight transition. If you keep going over the area, eventually it does actually turn black. And the next one, I don't want to use a lot of it because this is old school. This is Games Workshop black ink. Now, if you have a look at that black ink, that is a hell of a lot more like the game ink. Pretty much nearly identical. So sometimes when you come across old tutorials by Games Workshop and they rely on you using an ink, they're not meaning this stuff. This stuff's a hell of a lot lighter. It goes on different than what black ink does. Black ink will obliterate the colour that you're on and just show a little bit of it through. Whereas Nuln Oil will work with the colour itself. Same when you've got your Reikland Fleshshade and Old School Flesh Wash. Old School Flesh Wash is a very heavy colour. Some techniques though for Old School Flesh Wash is if you get a silver and put silver on, these colours work a hell of a lot better than these colours when you want to change the properties of something. So if you get a silver out and you get an Old School Flesh Wash and put it over, you get a very nice bronze. And then of course if you get a silver out and put black ink over, it makes it very, very dark. So if you're wanting a very, very good on Mechanicus, these two, if you're wanting a very oily sort of looking mechanical feel, sometimes spraying your whole Mechanicus figure silver and then hitting this into a lot of the mechanical parts and maybe keeping raised armor edges, just painting with that and then you know, highlighting that with some more silver. One spray coat will give you two different figures. I am going to be doing a tutorial using washes and shades on some Genestealer Cult, because I know Genestealer Cult Codex, yay, by the time this video comes out it will be released. So I am going to be painting some cult up. I'm going to be showing you how I paint my cultists quickly using mainly these bad boys. So a combination of different shades to get the effect that I want. But that's it for this week. I've not got a lot, unfortunately. I'm away for the week, so I'm trying to get some of these done quick. So apologies if the content is not the same as usual. Apologies that there's no heavy metal in the video again. But again, I'll put some on the end for you guys. And if you go over to rootstem.co.uk, you can sign up to the website for £3 a month and you get exclusive access to all of my YouTube videos as soon as they are ready. There's no waiting about for weeks. There's quite a few videos loaded up on there. I think I've got about there'll be 3 to 4. By the time you guys see this, actually, there'll be 3 to 4 exclusive battle reports on there. And of course, the Gene Steeler painting one and the Noise Marine painting one, because I've got some surprises for that as well coming up, will be ready. Right, thanks very much guys, see you next time.